You're listening to The Satin Lounge. Tonight for Pillow Talk, multi-talented producer, director, writer, and editor has graced our presence. She produced the feature film Elena Undone for writer-director Nicole Kahn and wrote and directed the controversially compelling film Methhead. Practically all of her award-winning work has been film festival favorites, and we are absolutely privileged to have her here with us tonight. Satin Lounge, please help me welcome the creatively courageous Jane Clark. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
I'm so happy to have you here. I've been kind of following your work for a little while, and I'm so honored that you're with us to talk a little bit about some of the things you've been up to.
Well, I'm really happy to be here. We have some mutual friends.
We do. It's a small world. Independence is a small world. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to learn more about your creative path, really. I read somewhere that you began your career as an actress first, including this reoccurring role you had on the series Chicago Hope.
Yeah.
So you wanted to be an actress first, is that right?
I did. Well, I sort of wandered. I wanted to be a painter. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be a writer. I sort of dabbled a lot of different things, but acting is hard and it's frustrating.
It's harder than directing and other creative avenues, seriously?
When you're acting, you are reliant on other people to give you a job. And if I want to write a script, nobody has to hire me to write a script. And at least through the short film making journey, I was able to just go out and, pull together money and make my shorts. So there was a liberty to it that I didn't have.
Yeah.
And as much as I loved acting, I just got really, really frustrated with it. Chicago Hope was great, but you pop on, you throw a couple lines out, you're there for 4 hours, you're gone, and then you don't come...
Looking for another audition.
Yeah.
Or another job.
Yeah.
To help you pay the bills and et cetera.
Exactly.
I see. So that is what transitioned you from front of the camera to behind the camera.
Yeah,
you
pretty much.
Control.
More control. And, also... I had done a bunch of independent films with first-time directors, and they all turned out pretty crappy for one reason or another. And I was very, very frustrated because they started with good scripts. Yeah. They should have done something. And when I looked at the end result, I saw all the mistakes. And I thought to myself, maybe I should try doing it myself. If I'm good at it, then I have a new path. And if I'm not good at it, then I can just shut up and do the work and stop complaining about how, what other people are doing.
How did you know you had an eye or an ear for that? I mean, you were able to look at the film and go, this isn't quite right. Where does that come from? Who influenced you in that area?
I don't know. I think to some degree it's just instinctual. I think to some degree I fell exactly into where I belonged after journeying through these different places. But I played alto sax when I was a kid, and I studied classical piano for years, and I was a painter and art. I did a lot of art and a lot of sketching, and I actually sold art in New York. I had this crazy little journey that took me through all these artistic endeavors, and I was writing, and I was actually doing like script doctoring for people while I was acting. So all these, I think, converged together. They make sense as a director to understand story arc and understand acting and understand, when you start editing, the texture and the frame and all of these things, I think, just came together in a perfect storm.
You've always been looking for creative expression, is what it sounds like. And it's really cool that you recognized early what it is you love to do. Would you say that filmmaking is it? That is your core love? That is the thing you wake up and want to do and have to do?
Yeah.
That's
absolutely, 100%. I can't wait. And it doesn't have to be just, I love getting on a set.
Yeah.
But, you're like an actor, you go a long time without having the money to make the next film.
Sure.
But whether I'm writing or producing or on the set directing my actors or in the edit room putting all the pieces together, there's not a moment of that I'm not joyful.
Wow.
Even when I'm hating it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Even in the thick of it when it's so hard and everything's going wrong.
Yeah.
I am joyful of the opportunity.
That's when you know it's your core skill. That's when you know you were born to do this, because nobody has to pay you a red cent, even though it's nice. It's
Yeah.
nice to get a paycheck now. I'm not.
Yeah.
But you just love it. I think radio's my thing. I mean, I do it all day long in different capacities and with, I don't know how many different shows I do. I would love to do, film or do other things just to mix it up and find out, what that feels like on my palate. But I know that I was always come back to communication and always love sitting in front of someone and having a conversation about who are you exactly? I want to know where you came from and what is it that turns you on?
Yeah.
That is, the thing that I think, especially in the independent world, we have to figure that thing out. That's the only way we'll survive, right? Creatively, right?
Well, honestly, you better love whatever you do because there is not a lot of money. It's not glamorous, and you're not getting paid a big paycheck, and you're slogging to make everything happen constantly. So you have to love it. I also think, to a degree, you're guided where you're supposed to go.
I love that.
You catch the wave and you let it carry you. You'll end up where you belong as long as you just trust the process. So I felt like when I landed into directing, it was just a natural evolution toward where I was supposed to be in the first place. But if I hadn't had that journey and hadn't done all those different disciplines, I wouldn't have been good at it. I needed to go through all of those other things to get good for this,
Right. Well, one of the hats, as she mentioned, she's a producer, and she produced one of our favorite LGBT films, Elena Undone, directed by the iconic Nicole Kahn. What is so endearing to me is that our allies. Do you consider yourself an ally for LGBT?
I better be.
You better be. I'm so impressed by that. Our lives are on the line to tell our stories. We have to, in order to exist, in order to leave a legacy. There's some kind of way we have to tell our stories. But our allies, you don't necessarily have to do that. You don't have to do that for us. It's a choice that you've made, and I'm baffled by that sometimes. Does it stifle your career and other decisions that you make, that people kind of, put you in a box and judge you?
It's really interesting because when Nicole and I started the process of developing the story for Elena Undone, we talked a lot about influencing it to be a crossover movie.
Right.
As I really had...
and you really could. You could put any characters in those.
You could put in any other... But it didn't transcend the gay market, which is... disappointing and predictable to some degree. Yeah. So when I started with Methhead, honestly, I don't see any of my movies as gay or straight. I don't see my, someone as trans or woman or man, I see them just as stories about human beings that I care about, situations that I can relate to. And it was interesting because I had a guy recently ask me how I crafted this relationship that's in Methhead between the two lead men. Right,
there are LGBT themes that are even braided inside Methheads too.
Lucas Haas plays
the
lead. He's so amazing.
The legendary Lucas.
He's so good. And then Wilson Cruz, who's also fabulous.
Please tell them the star-studded lineup of diversity in this film.
It's Lucas Haas plays the lead. Wilson Cruz is his lover. Nakar Zadigan, who
from Elena
Undone. She also, I discovered her in my short film, The Touch. That's when I cast her in my short film, and then brought her in to Elena. She's amazing.
I'm so girl crushing. But go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of people girl crushing on her. But Nakar, this guy Blake Barris, who's a soap guy
from Days of Our Lives.
From Days of Our Lives,
Emmy Award winning actor.
Yeah, very, very, very talented. Theo Rossi, who's on Sons of Anarchy. Tom Sizemore.
It's such a diverse cast.
Yeah.
How did they all come together? What pulled them into this project?
I think the script.
The script itself.
Yeah, you sort of have to start with the story. And when you're talking about asking actors of that caliber to work for basically peanuts, the only reason to do it is because they dig the character and they believe in the script.
They felt the story had to be told.
They have to, and they have to believe that the script is strong enough to actually warrant the kind of work they have to do. So that was where it started. But honestly, it's a little bit of everything. Nakar, I just offered the role to, called her up and said, I got a script. And Blake was an audition, and he came in, and I just knew immediately that this guy was something special.
Right.
Wilson, I chased after because I love my so-called life, and I just was so admiring of everything he had
Noah's
done.
Ark too. I'm such a fan of his. He's so sexy.
He is sexy. He's very sexy.
Shout out Wilson.
Absolutely. Would agree with you on that one too.